Rocky Juarez begins to make his way into the arena. Rocky from Houston, Texas. 25-1, his only loss to Humberto Soto, but Soto, who can crack, couldn't knock him out. So you get the idea that the Marco Antonio Barrera Rocky Juarez fight is going to go a few rounds. It's most likely not going to be like the Barrios-Nagy fight. Of course, when you land a body shot like Barrios hit with Nagy, who knows? But Juarez is a strong guy with a very, very strong chin.
This should be two guys in front of each other because at times they both had the problem of punching up at taller guys, but now they should come in and not have that problem, really.
Rocky Juarez, by the way, has got a lot of power with his left hook. He's got an excellent left hook. And Barrera, well, it's hard when you look at his record to say that he doesn't have a great chin, but not too many people have been able to touch that chin of his. But if he gets into the chin, Juarez has the kind of power that he could drop him.
Right, it kind of makes this intriguing.
And there's Marco Antonio Barrera. You see why they call him the babyface assassin? What's that, no home runs?
That's about the, another political statement like we saw Oscar do a couple weeks ago about an immigration bill.
Ah, yeah. Marco Antonio Barrera, the babyface assassin. 61-4, 42 knockouts, 1 no decision. He hails from Mexico City, Distrito Federal. The book at him, great boxing skills, 4 straight wins since losing to Manny Pacquiao in November of '03. You know, he has big wins over top competition like Eric Morales, Paulie Ayala, we showed you that fight. Johnny Tapia and Prince Nassim Hamad, we showed you a little bit in the highlight of that fight. His biggest disappointment, you got to go all the way back to losses in '96 and '97 to Junior Jones. And of course his 2000 loss to Eric Morales, but 12-1 since then. A terrific jab, power in his right hand, very slick, busy, aggressive, very smart in the ring.
Surgical precision for Marco Antonio Barrera, a guy who's been in this situation many times, plays into the adulation.
Won his first world title, the WBO version, at 122 pounds way back in 1995. He defended that title 8 times before losing it to Junior Jones, and he came back and won the title again, beating Richie Winton. Okay, our ring announcer, Michael Buffer, has moved into position, and with all the delays we've had since the quick knockout, as Mrs. Barrera Tapia is set, so is Michael Buffer. Here's our ring announcer.
Ladies and gentlemen, from Staples Center, Los Angeles, California, USA, Oscar de la Hoya's Golden Boy Promotions is proud to present the featured bout of the evening. 12 rounds of boxing for the WBC Super Featherweight Championship of the World. Brought to you in association with Main Events, sponsored by Pechanga Resort Casino and the King of Beers, Budweiser. Sanctioned by the California State Athletic Commission, Chairman Marty Keller, Executive Director Armando Garcia, WBC President Jose Suleiman. The 3 judges at ringside scoring this contest are Dwayne Ford, Anik Hongtongkam, and Ken Morita. And when the bell rings, the man inside the ring in charge of the action, referee Raul Caiz Sr. And now, for the thousands in attendance here at Staples Center, and for the millions watching around the world, ladies and gentlemen, let's get ready to rumble! Fighting out of the blue corner, wearing the multicolored trunks, official weight 129 pounds. Since capturing an Olympic silver medal, his professional record now stands at 25 victories, including 18 knockouts, with only 1 defeat. From Houston, Texas, the challenger, Ricardo Rocky. And fighting out of the red corner, wearing blue with white, official weight 129 1/4 pounds. Professional record, 61 victories, including 42 knockouts with 4 defeats and 1 no decision. Damas y caballeros de Ciudad de Mexico, the 4-time world champion, the reigning, defending WBC super featherweight champion of the world, the baby face assassin, Marco Antonio Barrera.
Ok, muchachos, necesitan instrucciones allá abajo. I give you instructions downstairs. Both your trunks are a little high, los calzones están un poquito alto. Aquí está bien, dense la mano y buena suerte a los dos.
All right, so we're set to go here. The rules, David, again.
Scoring in the 10-point must system, no standing 8 count, no 3 knockdown rule. A fighter cannot be saved by the bell at all. Only the referee can stop the fight, although physicians do have a lot of input.
Yes, they do. So we're set to go. If we get into any accidental headbutts, so that will explain those rules to you as they become pertinent. The Colonel Bob Sheridan here with Dave Bontempo. You're watching our World Feed live from the Staples Center in Los Angeles, California. Marco Antonio Barrera to the right of your screen with Tapia written on the back of his trunks, his mother's maiden name. Barrera in the front. Now he circles around to the right of your screen, and in the multicolored trunks, primarily silver with the flags of the United States, Rocky Juarez. This is the color of the Mexican flag as well on the other side.
A good little quick left hook to the head by Juarez.
Remember, Juarez has considerable power in that left hand. There's a little bit difference in reach of it. It's only a ½ inch, so it shouldn't be significant. And an inch in height favoring Marco Antonio Barrera. So virtually these guys are the same size. Difference, 26 years of age is Rocky Juarez. Barrera is 32, but he's been in against much better opponents than has Rocky Juarez. Rocky's biggest fight and toughest fight was against Humberto Soto back in August of last year, and since then he's peeled off a couple of wins over Ronaldo Hurtado in Corpus Christi, Texas, wasted him in 3, and then took out Bachman Medrano in Louisiana in a 4th-round knockout. So he had a 2 KO victory since his very close, by the way, loss to Humberto Soto. Soto is here having a look at Marco Antonio Barrera.
Soto may be thinking, how does he get the shot with Marco Antonio after I beat him? So he's probably into the lobbying circuit. And there's a nice right hand slipping through again by Rocky Juarez, and Barrera doing a smart job with his jab.
Barrera is so smart in the ring. I mean, he just, you know, we had the opportunity before we showed you, before we came to the live fight, to see Barrera in action against Ayala. And this is the way he just cruises along and usually outbox guys, but Juarez seems like he wants to force the fight. See how he slips punches. Barrera defensively is sensational, and then he's got that jab, which is a real weapon that he's touching up the forehead and the face of Rocky already. I mean, Barrera, you talk about baby face, he hasn't really been touched yet, although you had a couple of shots where he landed lead right hands, but look at the face of Juarez already.
And the idea for Rocky Juarez, you know, he has to force a fast start. Barrera can glide in the way he wants, but the pressure is on Juarez to make this his fight right away and try to establish a theme against Barrera.
Barrera, you know, I mentioned the fact that some say he's suspect of the chin. I don't know how you could say that. He only has 4 losses in 61 fights, and 2 of those go way back in his career. So, I mean,
one's a disqualification.
Yeah. For low blows. And everything is high. His hands are high, and he's just out boxing with the closing seconds here. Round number 1. It's a good Barrera round, in my way of thinking. There's the bell to end the first round. Well, Rocky is one of the real veteran cutmen in his corner, Joe Sousa. And Joe is going to have to use all of his powers to keep this guy in the fight now, where he's got that slit in that right eyelid this early. And again, that's all off the jab of Barrera. Look at the positioning, folks. Look at the timing of Barrera with the jab. He stays outside the power of Juarez, and then he dictates when he wants to go in. Continually circling on his toes. Never gives Juarez the opportunity to come straight in because he's circling all the time. Look at the cheers going on here. There seems to be a few Juarez fans too, right?
Well, they made the trip from Houston, and this is his big fight in his career. A lot would be open for him if he can pull off the upset. It's a huge order, but you know, he's the guy, the 2000 Olympic movement in the United States. He won a world championship at the amateur level, and yeah, he is a good fighter. So it's time to find out how good he could possibly be on a given night.
An extensive amateur career along with being a medalist in the Olympics. So, I mean, this guy's had all kinds of pressure in international competition, but Marco Antonio Barrera is one of those guys that's, you know, just the elite of the elite in the boxing world. He's just a tremendous athlete and has been throughout his career. And unusual background, as you saw, if you saw our feature on Marco Antonio Barrera, he doesn't come from the streets of Mexico City. He comes from an upper middle class family, going to law school, and really had a nice upbringing. Didn't have to box for a living. His mother wanted him to get an education. But wasn't it funny how his mother eventually said, look, if you're going to be a fighter, do that properly. Do whatever you do properly.
That's right, and great advice, too, because you can't be split.
Look at this now, as Juarez tries to put pressure on Barrera. Barrera goes and lets his back feel the ropes, and he comes with uppercuts, but Juarez is scoring some shots on the inside. And now look at this. Barrera spins him and lets fly. Rocky trying to tough it out on the inside, but his cheeks really puffing up. I think that's from that jab constantly in the face, and Barrera throws a slashing jab and then comes back with the right hand.
And a slashing jab it is, and the type that can either open a cut or aid in the puffing process. But for Rocky Juarez, this is going to be, in terms of urgency, shorter than a 12-round fight, because he'll have to make his stand early with the puffing up factor.
Yeah, you know, Dave, he's trying to do that. He's trying to get aggressive. He went with the right-hand lead that time. Caught Barrera with a pretty good left hook, and that's his power shot. If he can catch him on the chin, it could change the course of this fight. But right now, Barrera's just outboxing him and trying to stay outside that kill zone and dictating when he goes in. When he comes in, he's throwing. And that's the way to stop a guy that's a puncher like Juarez is.
Look at the nice double jab by Barrera. Effortless.
He's a terrific fighter. You know, all the questions I had about his legs, certainly were only in the second round, but boy, his legs look terrific. Particularly certain to his left as the bell ends round two. Brilliant boxing by Barrera.
20-6 in favor of Barrera. Now, Rocky Juarez made the most of his 6, but he was tattooed by a flotilla of jabs by Barrera.
All right, here we go. Round 3. Barrera in blue. Juarez in the multicolored trunks. Third man in the ring, Raul Caiz Sr. Our officials doing the judging, Dwayne Ford from Nevada, Anak Huntankam from Thailand, and Ken Morita from Japan. I'm the Colonel Bob Sheridan with me, Dave Bontempo. This is the WBC Super Featherweight Championship of the World, live from the Staples Center in Los Angeles, California. I've given the first 2 rounds unofficially to Barrera, just outboxing Juarez, and you heard when you heard the punch stats that Dave gave you that the output of Barrera and the landing of shots is just like 3-1 for what Juarez is doing. Juarez now tries to pressure it. Go ahead, Dave.
He just didn't nail him.
Go ahead, Dave.
He just didn't nail him with the left hook and bloodied the nose of Marco Antonio Barrera. He's going to be in this from a feistiness standpoint, but he could get outboxed.
Well, he's being outboxed, David, and what you say from a feistiness, he's as feisty as they come. We know he's in great shape, and, you know, he's coming forward all the time. He's trying to force the fight. He's got to watch himself getting countered by Barrera and his face getting busted up too much. Barrera now comes down, and he hasn't thrown too many body shots in this fight, has he?
You know, he's been very smooth, and then when Barrera needs to become a warrior, he instantly turns up that notch, and he landed a slashing left hook with a lot of power, and then went to the body. He has multiple weapons.
And Dave, your point of the fact when he needs to become a warrior, he can. And you know, you see him, he boxes effortlessly. And as you watch him, you say, well, when's he going to turn it up? And all of a sudden, bang, and the guy's down. We saw that against Paulie Ayala. We saw him against Prince Mamat, against Robbie Peden. I mean, he just boxing along. Doesn't look like he's using much power. Then you take a look at Juarez's face and say, wait a minute, something more than just touching him up is happening here.
Yeah, and with Juarez pushing the pace and trying to create a bit of a street brawl scenario, Barrera has been equal to it and is hitting him with better shots.
Chopping right hand, bit of a low blow there when Caiz was behind Barrera. He didn't really have a chance to see that. Rocky put the hands up on the inside. Rocky wants to land the left hook and try to turn this thing around. Instead he goes with the right hand downstairs. Rocky right on top, coming forward. The difference is Rocky will close the kill zone without throwing a punch. Barrera rarely enters the kill zone without throwing something.
When you look at how these guys can win the fight, for Juarez, it's to swarm and land the big shot. But for Barrera, it could be the jab, it could be the body shots. He can win it multiple ways.
And just there, with the closing seconds now of the third round, you saw a situation where the referee, Raul Caiz, had to warn them. Oh, there's the left hand! The power shot catches the jab. And now he fights back. Look at this. He muscles it up after he's nailed with a left-hand power shot. Is that enough to give Juarez the round? I don't think so.
In this case, Rocky gets the last laugh. Terrific left hook, driving Barrera back. And you don't see Marco Antonio hit like this very often. You don't see the stumble very often. Unfortunately for Rocky Juarez, it happened at the end of the round.
A low, right after that, Barrera showed his grit coming right back. Let's see if that punch was strong enough to cause Barrera any leg problems here in the early going of the fourth round. The corner of Juarez wants him to try to land more power shots. Of course they do. That's his strength. His left hook is his best punch, and he caught high in the temporal bone of Marco Antonio Barrera right at the end of the third round. But that's really all he did in that round, where Barrera started landing some body shots, his hands coming down low. Then he lands a right uppercut on the inside to the chin of Juarez. Juarez has got to land more shots. And look at this, Barrera picks up the pace, Dave.
Well, right at a time when it should be Rocky Juarez territory, the effect of that shot at the end of the last round for Rocky Juarez was psychological, to let him know that he can land the big shot here on Barrera and win the fight that way. But it's still a tough way to wait for that shot to try to win the fight.
If he's going to win the, yeah, he does have to force it, and I believe he's trying to do that, but Barrera is such an exceptional boxer. He's been able to beat him to the punch most of the time. But Rocky, in the process where you were talking to Dave, landed a chopping right hand, which cut Barrera, and that's what he's got to do more than once around. Actually, he only landed it once in the third round and a pretty good chopping right hand in the fourth round here. But he's got to land more of those power shots to try and turn this fight around, because he can't outbox Barrera.
He can try to show him the jab just to set up some shots, and that might be what he does. But Barrera should be fighting a guy who's on a different level now, that he has landed some pretty good artillery.
Well, now Barrera almost the guy that's forcing the fight instead of Rocky, who's got to land some power shots here. And, you know, instead of relying on the left hook, maybe sneak off that left shoulder of Barrera and try to come with another chopping right hand. Because, again, if there's any knock, and I only say it because it's so hard to find anything that Barrera does wrong or any weakness. People that know him best say that he is vulnerable if you hit him with a power shot. Of course, anybody's vulnerable if you hit him with a power shot. So, in a lot of ways, you know, that's a rhetorical kind of statement. But
well, you need the guts to stand with the guy to throw your power shot, and he's got that. And, yeah, he's gaining in confidence that way. He's landing some nice shots, but he's getting outboxed in terms of number, and Barrera went low.
Now, here's Barrera. It's not the first time in his career, by the way, where he has a tendency to go low. Disqualified one time in a fight for low blows, and he has a history of that. And sometimes I think it happens in the late rounds when he starts to get fatigued and his arms come down and he goes for body shots. But remember when I questioned the first couple of rounds, I didn't see any body shots. Then all of a sudden, in the third round, there was one borderline low blow. But Juarez has had a better round. He hasn't outboxed Barrera in this round. Barrera, his hand speed has been the difference as the bell ends the fourth round, but a better shorter round for Juarez the last two rounds. But still, I think Barrera's won them.
And last two rounds, Juarez has held his own, probably in the numbers, so we've got excitement now.
All right, here we go. This is round 5 at the Staples Center. Marco Antonio Barrera, the reigning WBC super featherweight champ at 130 pounds in the blue trunks with the white shoes. Rocky Juarez, the challenger, the multicolored trunks with a red on his shoes. Coming forward, trying to force the fight. He feels like he's strong. If you look in the corner in between rounds, Juarez is filled with confidence. He's taking his deep breaths. He has a nice, clear look in his eye. Barrera's had blood trickling from his nose from the second round on. Juarez had a little slit in his right eyelid back in the first round, but Joe Souza, one of the great cut men, worked on that and has had that under total control since round number 1. So this is round 5.
We're seeing Barrera get hit with more left hooks than in any fight in a long time. So Rocky Juarez has found that. We'll see if there's anything else that he finds, but he is now fighting as though he believes he can outslug Barrera and win this fight. Like he sees a way to do it.
Well, I'll tell you why he's open for the left hook. Barrera has a tendency when he throws his left hook of tilting his left shoulder down, and he exposes the right side of his body. He tilts his left shoulder down and throws his hook as a half uppercut. When he has that tilted, he's off balance, and then he's open for the left hand. If he's like that, he's going to go. He almost went back there in the third round when Juarez hit him with just a few seconds to go at the tail end of that third round. But in the start of the fourth round, it was Barrera that came out stronger than Juarez. Juarez is showing great patience and really looking for the shot to land the one big punch that can change the course of the fight. I mean, his corner wants him to jab more, but the jab only sets up his power shot, his left hook, and perhaps the chopping right hand. He can't, and I'm convinced after watching 4 rounds and into the 5th round of this fight, he can't outbox Barrera. It's got to be a power shot.
Well, he'll have to mug him to beat him, but he's getting the confidence in the mugging. It's up to Barrera to take that away.
And Barrera is doing that right now, Dave. I mean, look at it, the guy's all over him. Raul Caiz had some sort of question look in his eye towards Barrera when he came in. Barrera shoots the right hand to the body of Juarez. Juarez right in front of him, not showing a lot of movement. He gets clipped by a light left hand that kind of catches a piece of the nose. Juarez avoids all those shots. It looked good from the people afar, but up close, those punches didn't land. As the left hook, which catches Barrera, puts him off balance a little bit. And again, Dave, you made the comment that he's got to land more of those. I'm sure he's trying to. He's just, you know, Juarez has got the difficulty of trying to land clean shots with Barrera being such a terrific boxer.
Right, he's able to move. He can be subtle with it. He's still catching him with a few left hooks, but that was some nice work by Barrera, even if he's fighting Juarez's fight.
Here comes the bell to end round number 5. And again, that's another good boxing round for Barrera. You'd want to give the round to Juarez if you possibly could, but you can't. Barrera just outboxed him. And I've got him winning every round on my score sheet.
Left eye, here's the double jab by Barrera, one of the many weapons he's used in this fight.
So Juarez had a little slit in his right eye way back in the first round, and in the 5th round, Barrera develops a slit in his left eye, and that's from the left hook power of Rocky Juarez. This is round number 6. It's slated for 12, but Juarez is not winning any rounds. It's going to have to be a power shot. Notice the right eye of Barrera is starting to close up, so his right hand is getting through too.
Sure. Hey, for Rocky Juarez, it's tell the judges to go home. That's the way he wins this fight. He doesn't want this to go to the scorecards.
If it goes to the scorecards, it most likely won't be in his favor. But this fight's a long way from over. And again, the 32-year-old legs of Barrera, the power of Juarez, maybe in the late rounds he can catch up with him. As don't forget, he's in tremendous physical condition.
Regardless of
his Kathy Doobie came up, who was his manager, and Kathy said, listen, this kid's in great shape. And I believe Kathy, she knows her fighters.
Said it had a great training camp and did 15 rounds like it was nothing. Hired a personal trainer, focused here, and he has already done more as far as recent perspective than Johnny Tapia did in a whole fight against Barrera. Then a lot of them than Robbie Peden did against Barrera. He's been one of Barrera's toughest recent fights.
The problem is Peden didn't win too many rounds, and Juarez isn't winning too many rounds. And while Peden's a pretty good banger, Juarez is a better puncher. And again, when you take the fact that Humberto Soto delivered Juarez a close but his only loss, it's very unlikely that Barrera can stop him unless a cut develops, because this guy has got a strong chin and he can, you know, fire. And now we've got blood on the cheek Marco Antonio, and his Juarez has got a pretty good flurry going right now. That blood, I believe, is from the nose of Barrera and just come up on the cheek when he put his glove up there and touched him. I don't think he's cut on the cheek. But again, Barrera's outboxing him. You know, Juarez is trying to do his best he can. Look at Barrera come back. Look at this. Now we got a pair of sixes. They stand toe-to-toe. And Dave, you're so right. Just when you think this guy's going napping, he sucks it up and he gets tough.
And he's winning a fight here that ideally this is how Juarez would like this fight to go. He's got Barrera right in front of him, and Barrera finds another notch of toughness. And that was pretty amazing.
Just when you think Juarez might start to do something, Barrera digs in and he grits his teeth. He says, no, you're not going to move me. And the guy, look at this. Look at this. This is just great boxing now. This guy, I said, it alluded to the fact how smart he is in the ring. At the start of the fight, look at him on the inside with a chopping right hand on the inside when Juarez grabs him to his left side to Juarez's right side. With the overhand right hand, not landing, but he's looking to land the left hook. And look at it, he turns it up a notch again. And Juarez looked a little staggery at the bell there at the end of round 6. That's another Barrera round. All right, here we go, round number 7. If you look at the two, Juarez looks the fresher of the two. He's got a little puffiness, but he's had that since the get-go in the first round when those jabs of Barrera were in his face. Now Barrera's left eye is swelling up and in the verge of closing. He has a little bit of a slit in his left eyelid as Barrera actually cut Juarez's right eyelid way back in the first round. But again, Joe Sousa's done such a great job in that. That hasn't been a factor at all in the fight.
And the fighter has helped out also by not getting hit again there in a way that could open it up.
There's a left hook that landed by Juarez, but he didn't really have the power on it that time. He had to turn it up that notch.
He was backing up.
In the 7th round here at the Staples Center, this is a tough fight for Marco Antonio Barrera, in spite of the fact that I've got him winning every single round. David has it 1 round in favor of Juarez. So on both our score sheets, unofficially, it's a lopsided fight. Barrera just putting on a clinic of boxing, and Juarez showing me the grittiness, the toughness of what it means to be a professional prize fighter. Things aren't going his way in terms of this boxing match, but he's hanging in there, hoping he can land his powerful left hook that will change the course of this fight immediately.
And this is one of those fights where it really is glaringly 2 storylines evolving at once. The scorecards is one story, the street fight is another story. And both stories are live at this point.
Yes, they are. But again, Marco Antonio with almost 2 minutes gone here in the 7th round, just outboxing Juarez, digging to the body, gets the jab in his face. There's somebody's mouthpiece is down. Let's see who that is. Look at these guys battling toe-to-toe. You can tell the crowd gets into it. Looks like that's Barrera's mouthpiece that came out. Time has been called. Rocky sent to a neutral corner. Barrera goes over to his corner to get that mouthpiece back in. Notice how his corner taking plenty of time to allow him to get rejuvenated, because they know he's 32 years of age. And if that had been Angelo Dundee, he would have dropped the mouthpiece a couple of times.
and walked up the stairs nice and slow.
Right. All right, round 7 action. Time back in with less than a minute to go. And just that little breath of air and a little break for Barrera has him back up on his toes. Juarez tries to walk him down, and he walks into the left hook of Barrera. Now Barrera is beginning to fight like he did back in the first couple of rounds. Digging body shots, which were negligent in the first round. He was all head hunting. And now he's just up on his toes. Boy, it's amazing. Just that little break for 10 or 15 seconds gave him the second win, didn't it?
Yep. It's like it's a mini break, and it makes a short round, and these guys come back strong from it.
Juarez continues to plod forward, but can't clip him with a real powerful left hook, and that's what he wants to do. Trying to get him in position. All of this inside stuff where he uses his elbow and shoulder to try to set him up is to try to land the powerful left hand. But Barrera just turns it up another notch. Look at this guy. Every time that Rocky comes forward, Barrera turns it up a notch. There's the bell to end the 7th round. And Barrera put the exclamation point on the judges' scorecards. I haven't given Juarez 1 round in this fight, but by golly, it's an interesting fight. You're not going to get warmed until it happens a second or third time, and you get yourself a little breath at age 32. If your legs You know, I can't see that at age 32 he's showing any signs of anything but plenty of life in him, because Juarez has continually tried to force the fight, except when the few occasions where Barrera has planted and gone after him. Now time is called, Dave.
Yeah, time is called. They're going to talk again about the headbutts together and about the mouthpiece. It wasn't put in properly.
Oh, no.
But, you know, Barrera has shown a lot in terms of his reflexes tonight, and his timing has been great. He has not looked his age at all.
Not at all, and that was one of these question marks coming in, whether he would have the chin to stand up against a shot of Rocky Juarez, and only at 2 times that really been tested, and both times he rallied right after he got nailed. He was a little off balance. If you heard my explanation of when he throws his left hook, sometimes he tilts his left shoulder down to the left, and if his right hand is not back up by his right cheek, which it usually isn't, when he throws his own left hook, he's wide open for a counter left, and that's how Juarez nailed him. Juarez having a better round here at this portion now of the 8th round. But every time this happens, look at what Barrera does. He just comes back, comes to the uppercut, and they're chanting Rocky, aren't they?
Yeah, he's had a lot of fans here, and he's brought a tremendous display of heart. We have not had to see Marco Antonio Barrera fight this way in a long time.
Well, Rocky, who was behind in the fight, has just landed a couple of pretty good punches, one left hand, one right hand, and he's having his best round of the fight, I believe. And every time I say that, unfortunately for Juarez fans, is that, and there he gets clipped again, and there's a mouthpiece on again, but whose mouthpiece is it? And it's Barrera again, which makes me think that Barrera's spitting it out.
That's 3 times inside of a round.
So 2 things can cause that. Either he's spitting it out, or he's getting fatigued and his mouth is open and it's dropping out. I'm sure it's fitted properly. A minute to go in the 8th round, a little over a minute.
This has been a blistering pace.
This may be Juarez's round. If any round in the fight, I would give it to him. And I'm looking for reasons to give Juarez rounds, because, you know, he's so gritty. I'd like to see him do well in this fight. I'm a huge fan of Barrera's at the same time, so it's tough in this fight.
Down the stretch, it will be interesting to see if the body punches Barrera landed earlier takes the steam out of those Juarez power shots.
Well, Juarez right now is having his best probably minute of any round in the fight. He's landing power shots. Barrera doesn't look quite as strong as he did at other times during the course of the fight. And if Juarez could land a couple more blows, he'd definitely win this 8th round.
Well, for the first time, Barrera is showing that he's in a fight.
And I'll tell you this, Juarez doesn't look worse for the wear. He's had that puffiness under his eyes the whole way, and here he comes on in the closing seconds of the 8th round. I think that's a Juarez round. I'm going to give that to Rocky anyway. But in that last round, it was Juarez's round, I think.
As he came on and landed shots there, the left hook drives the mouthpiece out. In terms of significant punches, 112 to 67 for Barrera. That's a substantial number for a fight that's looked a lot closer sometimes than it really is.
Great job by replay guys catching that, because that clearly showed, as I was questioning whether he was spitting it out, that no, it was a punch that knocked it out. So a bit of the fatigue of the mouth hanging open coupled with the punches what knocked it out. And now his Rocky's trying to come on here and grab himself another round. Remember, the first round that I was able to give him on my score sheet was the 8th round. Dave gave him one a little bit earlier, but still a lot of distance to make up. But again, this is the 9th round, so there's 4 rounds of scoring to go. And again, Juarez, what you said from the get-go, is going to have to drop this guy and knock him out to win the fight anyway, so it's kind of academic to even be worrying about the score sheets. But somehow or other, Barrera looks to me like he's wilted a little bit in the 8th round, and still a little bit here in the 9th round. He's not quite as sharp as he was.
No, the fatigue element setting in, and the attrition factor, which usually doesn't settle over him. But this has been a punishing, grueling fight, and it's finally showing up in the Barrera demeanor. It showed up on Juarez before.
But Juarez hadn't slowed down a bit. I mean, he hasn't been successful in landing a lot of punches. But I mean, when you take a look at his conditioning, he is in great shape. And this is championship time now. We're in the 9th round.
We talked about that, the training camp of his life that he had coming in here, the personal trainer. And he's letting everything go. And if Barrera stops a little bit, that makes it a much more interesting situation for Rocky Juarez.
Barrera's smart, though. He's staying outside the power of Juarez. Notice now he's not forcing the fight. He's up on his toes and he's back. When he comes in, he exchanges. He's got just a slight reach advantage, but it's not enough to make any difference. It's his movements, it's his skill, it's his ring smarts, it's his intelligence, and his pure ability to box. See, he's not really doing much now except making Juarez look bad.
And this is a situation where Rocky Juarez should be cashing in big. He's the aggressor, and yet he's not gaining a big edge in this round. What can happen is it could turn on him and get stolen on him by one big shot or a little burst because he's not scoring a whole lot.
Well, Juarez cannot allow that to happen. He's got to land something big to make it definitive. I think he's probably done enough. I don't know. This is a very close round and a tough round to score. You know, part of the reason is we admire Rocky so much for the way he's fought and the grit that he's had that we kind of want to give him some rounds, but he's got to land some more punches here to win this round, at least on my score sheet. And I think he's doing enough. But Barrera, every time that you think he's about to do something in terms of losing a round, he comes back. Look at this pot-shotting, this guy. I mean, he's landed 4 or 5 punches without Juarez doing anything. And I think, you know what? I think Barrera pulled this round out.
I'll go the other way on that one. So we'll have something to chew on.
All right. Closing seconds of the 9th round. You know, I just thought that Barrera pulled it out in the end, and Dave thought that Juarez won that round. So
Rocky Juarez making an impact in the power punching department.
I just got word from director Dave Getz that actually Juarez has an advantage in the power department.
58 to 56.
Yeah. So that's interesting. But the problem is, and Dave's score sheet, and I hope, by the way, your score sheet is more accurate than mine, in line with the judges, because Juarez deserves some recognition for a terrific battle that he's put up here, and unfortunately I just haven't seen it quite the same way you have. Rocky's on the assault right now. One thing for sure, he needs to win all of these last rounds of the fight if it's going to be close at all. Whether it's Dave's score that has him separated by 3 points, or mine that has him separated by 5 or 6 points.
Right, there's no margin for error at all. And Rocky Juarez has to go for it. Try to get to the body and try to wear Barrera down. He is fresh. He's pushing it. Barrera is letting him come in and trying to set traps, but looking a little tired.
Rocky Juarez is on the assault, and this is the way he's been through 8 and into the 9th round, and it's just towards the tail end of the 9th round, I switched around and gave that round to Barrera. But you heard Dave's argument, and there's nothing wrong with that. I couldn't say, oh, nice uppercut on the inside. Juarez starting to land some power shots. And again, since the get-go, we said if he's going to win, it's going to be the power shots. And look at this. Every time he gets things going, Barrera comes back. I mean, this guy is a terrific fighter. And Juarez, I can't give him enough credit because he's made it interesting. I'll say that.
Yeah, he has made Barrera dig down into another dimension and deliver that dimension in this fight. Look at the body shots here by Barrera. He had a lot on it.
You know, if this fight is as lopsided in the score sheets as I have it, I've never seen a guy have to work as hard during a lopsided fight either. If it's the way you have it, this fight is a lot closer. And in fact, Juarez is having a pretty good 10th round too, as he did in 8 and 9. Barrera gets that punch right on the chin, holds him off. Juarez trying to land something powerful on the inside. Boy, oh boy, there's no quitting Barrera either. He seems to have got sort of a second wind here now. His shoulders a little bit squared up. Wants to fight on the inside, back up on the toes. Now he goes back to the jab, slides around to his left. Rocky right on top of him with his left hand. Throws a couple of right hands and catches the back of the head of Barrera.
The difference now is that the Barrera jab bothered Rocky Juarez earlier in the fight. It's not bothering him now. He is walking through the Barrera jab.
Yeah, he is, and here he comes to some power shots. Goes downstairs. Barrera with all his grit, I think might have been hurt by a right hand there. Nails him with another right hand. Closing seconds of the 10th round. And I think Barrera's won, Juarez has won this round. Look at this. He stands and mixes with him. I think that's a Juarez round. Watch the uppercut and then the right hand here, David.
Here's the Juarez uppercut. Terrific uppercut there. And then he turns into a shot. Look at him walking through the would-be jab of Marco Antonio Barrera. We haven't seen him gotten hit like that since the Manny Pacquiao fight.
Well, there's one thing for sure, that Juarez has been much stronger through 8, 9, and 10. And Dave gave him an earlier round as well. I've given 2 of those 3 rounds, and very well could have given him the 9th round on top of it. So this round, this fight could be a lot closer on the judges' scorecard than what I'm reporting to you. But I got to tell you the way I see it, and Dave is telling you the way he sees it. If Dave is right, if Rocky can win these last 2 rounds, God only knows how the judges will see this thing.
Stop! And we're seeing, you know, Juarez creep into it in terms of the numbers. Makes it more interesting.
There's that jab in the face of Rocky Juarez. Rocky comes on, gets the jab back in the face of Barrera, catches him with the right hand, tries to come with the uppercut. Barrera holds him off. You see who's winning the battle on the inside now. It's Rocky Juarez. That wasn't happening in the early rounds of the fight, but it's happening now. Dave, you pointed out that he's coming through the jab now of Barrera. I think the fatigue factor, Barrera doesn't have the same snap on that jab, but what a nice job of footwork. Sliding back around to his right, and he gets down with the right hand. Rocky, very strong, caught him with a pretty good left hook that time. And now here comes Barrera trying to force the fight a little bit. This is just pure guts on both fighters' part.
These guys are digging forward. 1 by Barrera, 3 by Rocky Juarez.
Rocky might have landed him with a big shot, but he slipped over that far corner. The corner's very wet after all the fights we've had during the course of the evening here at the Staples Center. But he loaded up a right hand, and his left foot slipped out from behind him. So when it landed, it didn't have the same power. But both guys are fighting in the same ring, so that happens from time to time. For the first time in the fight, Barrera had a tendency to want to hang on. Look at this, right hand uppercut on the inside. Another good round so far for Rocky Juarez. Barrera pushes him off, digs hard. There's that left hand that I was telling you. When he dips his left shoulder down, then he's open for the left hook. If he throws that left hook again, he's wide open. But look at Juarez landing shots.
Oh, how sweet is this? Both guys landing textbook offensive bombs. This is great.
Look at this guy battle back. That's the blood, but I think that's from the nose of Barrera and came from the gloves. That nose has been bleeding throughout the fight. He had a little slit in the eye back in the 5th round. Juarez was slit in the eye. Here he comes back trying to land a power shot. Every time Juarez looks like he might be able to do something to this guy, Barrera just shows why he's been such a great champ, and he's taking shots right now. Rocky needs to step back, get some room, and let his left hook go, let his hands go. Don't let this guy catch a breather here. They trade uppercuts on the inside. This is the fight that you would think Rocky would want, is on the inside. Look at Barrera, how tough he is. Man, oh man, he loads up the right hand, takes the left hand power shot from Juarez. I think Juarez has won this round with power shots. And look at this, it's a Pier 6 into the bell to end the 11th round. Here comes the bell. Wow, how about that? You talk about a great conditioned pair of athletes.
Juarez loading up. Barrera loading up. These guys are just throwing textbook everything. The left hooks to the body. They're both digging the right hands.
I got a 107, 102 going to the final round. I've given Juarez. Three out of the last 4 rounds. On my score sheet, he needs a knockout. A knockdown would give him a win on your, so he needs a knockdown or a knockout to win the fight. And if he wins the round, who knows what the scoring could be. But Juarez must have this final round. This is going to be something else. The 12th and final round. Marco Antonio Barrera outboxed Juarez in the early going, and Juarez has come on strong in the second half of the fight. Neither fighter has been down. Nobody really shaken during the course of the fight. The power shots have been landing off the hands of Juarez. And if there's any question, so far, Barrera's been able to gobble them up and take them. Time has been called. And they send both to neutral corner. What's this? Is there...
Can't be a mouthpiece.
He's calling in. I think they're trying to dry up a wet spot in the center of the ring. Maybe on the logo. Seems to be a lot of water out there.
That's where Barrera slipped before, right in that area.
And Raul Taiz Sr., the veteran referee, spots it. He knows what kind of action we're going to expect here in the closing portion of this fight. Oh, two big shots landed off the hands of Juarez. A right hand and then a left hook. Barrera's legs still seem to be okay, but he got nailed with both the right hand and the left hook. That's what Rocky needs to do, in my opinion, to win this fight. And the crowd chanting, Rocky, Rocky.
Remember what a big Barrera crowd this was when this fight started.
Yes, it was. Glancing right hand across the jaw of Rocky Juarez. Juarez's eyes look clear, although they're puffy. Barrera's face is a mess, although a lot of the blood coming from his nose. And this is a close round at this point, at the halfway mark of the final round of the fight. Two warriors. You know, it doesn't get any better than this. This is what professional prize fighting is all about. Two finely conditioned athletes in the peak of their individual careers, battling for world title. And a tough, hard-fought battle. Both guys showing signs of true grit, and both guys just really performing. Go ahead, Dave.
Rocky Juarez's people hoped that they would find out that the Barrera got old. They didn't get that, and yet it's still a terrific fight.
Every time that Juarez really, with very few exceptions in this fight, looked like he was about to take command, Barrera, with the exception of the 8th and 10th and 11th round, was able to come back and you know, like, what'd you call it, reach down to some of that street stuff? I mean, this guy, and I think Barrera's outboxing Rocky in this round, although Rocky's landed the power shots. So the judges, how do they see it? The power shots, or is it the boxing? You know, this is professional boxing. It's about the hurt business.
Well, a big story when this is over will go back to the early dominance by Marco Antonio Barrera. And when did the judges believe that the tide turned? However, all that being said, this was Barrera's round in my book.
It's not over yet. There it is now. Now it's over. The bell sounds. And I thought Barrera just outboxed him in that 12th round, in a round that Juarez really needed.
I think Barrera held him off.
I could have scored 117, 111 in favor of Barrera. You have it a whole lot closer.
Well, a 2-point fight.
Yeah. We'll see. You've seen a remarkable professional prize fight. If it is as lopsided as I have it, it doesn't really make any difference, because it wasn't about the scoring in this fight. The fact of the matter is, Barrera showed us some things. Number one, he can go 12 rounds in a grueling war. He showed us that in his career, but he can do it at age 32. He also can take the power of a real puncher, as he showed tonight, because Juarez hit him on several occasions with punches that would have knocked out lesser men.
And Juarez actually, at times, beat up Barrera. He took away his jab as an effective weapon in the fight. He really mugged him a lot of times. The problem for Rocky Juarez is he dug an early hole.
Yeah, I think he got himself, I mean, I had him 7 rounds before I was able to give him a round. And as I mentioned to you folks watching around the world, I was looking for a reason to give Juarez, because I was in such admiration of his courage and the way he battled. Not that I was rooting one way or the other in the fight, because I'm fond of both of these fighters.
Right.
I mean, Barrera's had just a remarkable career. Juarez is a younger guy at 26, but if he loses this and then lost that fight to Humberto Soto, it's just really unfortunate, because he's come so close in 2 big fights. But let's wait and see how the judges see it. Dwayne Ford, Anik Huntankam from Thailand, Ken Morita from Japan do the official scoring. All 3 very experienced judges. Dave and I were quite far apart in our scoring. Usually
only with two points, only with 2 close rounds, though.
Yeah. 2 rounds makes a 4-point swing, though.
Right.
And that's the difference in our scoring in the fight. So, but you get the opportunity to see where 2 guys watching the same fight that spend a lot of time together, like Dave and I do, calling a lot of fights, can be, you know, fairly far apart in the judging. And it's only a matter of a couple of rounds. And there were some close rounds, especially when you get into the 6th and 7th and 8th, which I didn't turn it around until the 9th round, when I finally gave, actually the 8th round, where I finally gave Juarez a round. Here's Michael.
Dwayne Ford scores the contest 115-113. Juarez. Anik Hong Tong Kam scores it 115-113. Barrera. Ken Marita scores the bout 114-114. A three-way split. This bout is a draw.
All right, it's a draw. So the close rounds, Dave, you were right. The close rounds went to Juarez, and as a matter of fact, the judges went for the heavier punches of Rocky Juarez. It's a draw. It's a fight we'll probably see again, do you think?
I'm glad. I hope we do. I really hope we do. That was thrilling in the second half of the fight.
So my scoring in the early part of the fight was not indicative of how the judges were seeing it. The judges liked the heavier blows, the 2 or 3 or 4 heavier blows that Juarez landed. They gave him the whole rounds. There were a couple of rounds there that I thought that Barrera came back, and you were right, Dave, the way you saw it, because you had it a whole lot closer than the way I did, and the judges had it even closer than that, because one judge, Dwayne Ford, who I have tremendous respect for in the state of Nevada, had it all the way in favor of Rocky Juarez, and Anik Huntington had it in favor of Barrera by the same margin by 2 points. There's a 4-point swing there, and Ken Marita had it a draw. So it was a terrific fight, and hopefully we'll get to see it again. We're going to be able to pick up the HBO interview with Larry Merchant in there, talking to these fighters through the interpreter. So we'll have the opportunity to hear what these guys have to say.
Throwing.
We'll just hang in there for a second until Larry has it.
Of 130 pounds.
All right, here's Larry Merchant about to take the microphone and interview these fighters.
Thank you, Jim. Congratulations on retaining your title, Marco Antonio. You've been in the ring for 17 years as a professional. This is your first draw. Do you think this was the right decision?
Felicidades en retener tu título. Estado estuvo en el ring por 17 años. ¿Cree que esto fue la decisión justa?
Bueno, yo creo que sí, respeto la decisión de los jueces. Creo que es un excelente peleador, lo demostró, por lo cual tiene 26 años. Pero bueno, gracias a Dios y los jueces, pues todo salió así.
Yeah, I thought it was a fair decision. I always said he was a tough guy. I respect the judge's decision. That's what it was.
Tell us about the trouble you had with your mouthpiece. Do you think there's something physically wrong with your jaw, or was it something else?
Dino, ¿qué pasaba con tu protector? ¿Tienes algo con la quijada o qué pasaba con tu boca?
No, lo que pasa es que es nuevo, quise estrenar, pero desgraciadamente creo que nos cayó la novatez. Ya después me lo cambiaron por el de siempre y todo siguió igual.
Yeah, no, there was nothing wrong with my jaw or anything. I had a new mouthpiece. We tried to use a new one, but we saw that it didn't fit, so we went back to the old one.
Hard, young puncher. How hard did he hit?
Fue un peleador joven, fuerte, poderoso. ¿Qué tal fuerte pegaba?
No, sí, yo lo he dicho desde que se agarró la pelea. Lo dije a toda la gente que era uno de los mejores peleadores, juventud, hambre. Y sabía que veníamos por todo eso y bueno, fueron 2 intensos rounds.
Yeah, I told everybody, I knew it from the beginning. We took the fight. This is a tough, young, strong guy, a good puncher. We already knew this.
Compare him to Pacquiao when you fought him. Was this as rough a fight as that was?
¿Compara a Rocky Juarez con Pacquiao? ¿Esta es una pelea tan difícil como la que tuviste con Pacquiao?
No, yo creo que es diferente, es diferente. Pacquiao es un gran peleador, pero en su línea. Y Rocky Juarez es uno de los mejores peleadores actualmente.
No, it's still different. Pacquiao is one style, one way, but Rocky Juarez is just a good fighter.
What do you see in your immediate future, since Pacquiao and Morales apparently will fight in the fall? Do you want to fight again this year, and who do you have your mind on?
¿Qué tú ves en el futuro cercano, ya que parece que Pacquiao y Morales van a pelear en el otoño? ¿Qué tú ves para ti?
Pues no sé, a ver qué diga el jefe, Oscar de la Hoya y Richard Schaefer. No sé qué digas o qué planes haya.
Yeah, I don't know. Richard Schaefer and Oscar are the ones who are going to decide. We'll see what they say.
Thank you very much. Very much again. Thank you, Marco Antonio. And now let's turn to Rocky Juarez. Rocky, did you wait too long to get going?
I don't believe I did, and I think I had him going back from the beginning of the fight. Basically, the only punches he was ever really landing was his jab, and I don't think that was enough to win the rounds. But I think fighting here in California and along with the fans, kind of.
It looked to me as if he certainly invested a lot more energy into throwing body punches than you did.
Well, I think he was just trying to stay away. I think I heard him in the first round with a hook, and I think he felt the power, and I think he was just more trying to box rather than make it a fight.
Did you think that you, as the young lion here, were going to claw the old lion, and did you really think you were going to get him?
Well, I believe I did. You know, I think getting a draw here in California, and you consider it his backyard along with De La Hoya's backyard, I think, you know, having a draw here in California, I think you can consider that a victory in my part.
So you feel that this is a big statement fight for you against the great Barrera, and that you will move on from here?
Oh, definitely. I mean, it was an opportunity to fight for the title against a great champion like Barrera. I would love to do it again, you know, if they give me the opportunity. You know, it was just a great opportunity to be fighting for the title, and I think, you know, I gave it my best. I think I rate myself a B- in this fight, but I still believe I came out with the victory this fight.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Rocky. All right.
The Colonel Bob Sheridan back here. And, of course, Jorge Barrios won in dramatic style the WBO Junior Lightweight Championship, which is the same as the Super Featherweight Championship at 130 pounds. So perhaps Rocky Juarez can shift his attentions over there and to get a fight with Jorge Barrios. But you know something, David? I'm glad if I had to be wrong in my scoring that it was tonight, because Rocky worked so hard. I'm glad at least he came out with a draw.
Well, you know what? He came on strong second half of the fight. Really did stuff that we haven't seen happen to Barrera in a while. We haven't seen his jab disappear because he was muscled. We haven't seen him marked on his face like that in a long time. And you know what? Juarez did a nice job. I'm surprised in the post-fight analysis that no question was brought up about a rematch, because to me it's an obvious and a big question. They should do it again.
Well, I would certainly love to see him do it again. To recap tonight, we saw a tremendous young kid from the Philippines named Ray Bautista beat up on Robert Bonilla, an experienced guy, a third-round knockout victory. There's a kid I wouldn't mind seeing again either.
Yeah, I think we will. He was terrific. Young kid with a big package.
And then Jose Armando Santa Cruz did a great job on the Japanese fight. I'm sure that all the people in Japan are disappointed, but Santa Cruz was terrific against Sonata tonight.
Yeah, he really was. Nice work by him. Good, hard, strong punching, and he did the job and set himself up.